Hey everyone, I'm Rachel. I have hamsters, and today I'm going to talk about little Laverne and her surgery that she went through recently, and how she recovered and the things that I found helpful in taking care of her. It was pretty intense, definitely the most intense surgery she's had, and I've learned so much about caring for a small animal post-operation as a result. So I just wanted to share that with all of you guys in case that's helpful. And before I get into it though, I do want to say the hamster situation in LA has gotten to like extreme craziness. Most of the rescues are now saying they cannot take any more animals, and yeah, unfortunately, it's just really sad. There's so many sweet little hamsters that like have nowhere to go, and so I wanted to try to raise money for the small animal rescues in the area. Hopefully, one day this channel also has enough subscribers I can get a little money that way and donate it towards those rescues. But until then, I decided to make some t-shirts, and I will link to the store, the website down below. It's at bonfire.com. If you're familiar with the website, it's a website that primarily specializes in fundraising and using t-shirts and the like for fundraising opportunities. So often it's like a couple weeks that you'll have a design, you can buy it and support that fundraising venture, and then there'll be something new. So I do have a few things on there. I'm going to keep working on some new graphics and different items and designs. If there's something you really want, please let me know in the comment section. I'd love to provide that. But so far I've had some sales. I'm really excited. I already cashed out some of it, so I'm going to be able to sponsor at least one cage at Tiny Tracks Rescue, and hopefully be able to donate to a few other rescues in the LA area who are helping out with this crazy situation. So if you'd love to be part of it, please support it. And if you can't or you don't want a t-shirt, I understand. You can always just donate directly to the rescues. I will link to the ones in the LA area down below. And of course I have a website with lots of other rescues linked there if you want to support one that's nearby where you live. Of course it's great to support your local rescues as well. So, do what you want to do, but yeah, even a little bit of money makes a big difference for these rescues, so don't feel like you can't make a difference, because you definitely can. Alright, so back to Laverne. So Laverne had this really intense surgery. I didn't know it was going to be so intense. I don't think my vet knew either until she opened her up and realized how bad the abscess had gotten. So I really lucked out because I already had a few things that I had purchased, just kind of throughout taking care of her, and based on a video I watched from Taxonomist and Hammy, I believe. I will link to that video down below as well. They talk about setting up a hamster emergency kit. So I've been slowly building on this, throughout the past few months, and I am so glad that I did because it came in so handy. So let me talk about the things that really helped me out, and I will talk about it more in depth when I show you Laverne. But number one is Critical Care Omnivore. I think if you have hamsters, you should just go ahead and purchase this and have it on hand. This was so essential. A hamster, or any hamster that can't get to food on their own, Laverne was basically immobile. I could just mix this with water. It's like complete nutrition, and then I gave it to her in a small syringe. Speaking of, I also have a large pack of multiple syringes, and they came in handy for different reasons. These small ones I used to feed her, or to give her water, to give her the critical care food, liquid food, and also I gave her some Pedialyte to help her keep from being dehydrated. So having these small ones was really great because I could very slowly push it out since she wasn't eating very quickly. And then these bigger ones were really great because I used these to clean her wounds. So I would just suck up some sterile saline water and then kind of gently squirt it at her wound area to make sure it stayed clean and didn't get any new infections in it. So this was super handy. Other things, I had lots of different types of baby food. I found that savory baby food seemed to work best. So carrots, sweet potatoes, green beans. I got some chicken, like a chicken dinner one. Those seem to be Laverne's favorite. I think having a variety, because hamsters do like variety, and if you're having trouble getting them to eat, having something new and different sort of helps spur them to eat it. So just get a wide variety. I also have like a banana one, and that one is less of a favorite, but sometimes they would eat it. So when you need a hamster to eat, you need them to eat. So whatever you can get in their body is good. So having baby food on hand, super handy. Another thing I found great is a heating pad. This actually my vet told me to get, and the way the vets use it is they put it underneath a small plastic bin where the hamsters are under their care, and they just put it under half of the bin and on low. That way if the hamster gets overheated on one side, they can move to the other side where it's not as hot. So if you do use a heating pad, you want to use caution that you don't cover the whole bin and make them overheat. As we all know, hamsters are pretty sensitive to temperature. But in general, when hamsters or any other animal has an operation done, they're often in a cold, they might be on a cold table. They're often getting injections of fluids, which are also cold. So hypothermia is a real worry for people and hamsters, basically everyone. So post-operation, it's really helpful to have a heating pad to help keep your hamster warm. And I found this was really essential because Laverne was very cold for like the first couple days. It took me a while to get her back to full strength. Another thing that was handy, I have this package of Pedialyte. I used this to make sure she didn't get too dehydrated, so I'm very glad I had this. Mine is sugar-free, and is it sugar-free? It might not be, but it's not a ton of sugar. And I didn't mix it. I mixed like a little bit in with water. I put it in a syringe. I also tried mixing it in with her water bottle, so just to help her keep hydrated because she was really not eating or drinking much, so she needed a little boost. The other thing that was handy, Benevac. If you have a hamster on antibiotics, this is a probiotic gel. You can get it at PetCo, PetSmart, Chewy, Amazon, a lot of places. I have like 3 in my bag. I have like a big duffel bag full of hamster emergency stuff. Your vet probably will give you one if you have a hamster on antibiotics, but if they don't, you should get one. This will help keep your hamster from, if they take antibiotics, they might be depleted of all healthy bacteria, which will make them have an upset stomach, not be able to digest things as well. They might get diarrhea. So having the probiotic is really key to keeping their gut healthy when they're on antibiotics. So it's great to have a few around because sometimes you can't get them in store and it takes like a week. So just have them on hand, and then that way you can give them to your hamster every day with their antibiotics, and you don't have to worry, if suddenly your hamster is sick and you need this, you need it now, right? And then the last thing that was really, really handy is sterile saline. You can make your own sterile saline. It's really just sterile water boiled, and then with salt. I probably would use distilled water because that doesn't have any additives. There shouldn't be any additional material in the water. But I happened to just buy some on Amazon, some sterile saline, and this is really handy if your hamster has an injury or a wound that needs cleaning. It's basically like a saltwater solution that is sterile, so that it's been boiled. And then that way you can use it to clean the wound, help prevent it from getting infected, help prevent it, any reinfection. If your hamster has stitches, you might be asked to clean the wound. So like I had to every day, maybe like twice a day, I had to clean the area where her stitches were to make sure that debris or paper or something didn't get stuck in it and then infected. So really handy to have this on hand. You never know when your hamster is going to have a small injury. So just like this can help prevent that injury from getting infected. Of course, all this being said, you still need vet care. But as you know, vets take care of your hamster and then they give them back to you. So you still have to take care of them once they're home with you. If your hamster has an injury on a Saturday night and you have to wait until Monday to see the vet, having these things on hand is like really handy. Because I've been there when my hamster is in need of vet care and it's Saturday night. It's really hard to watch them be uncomfortable and suffer. And it's great to have at least these things to be able to help them be as comfortable as possible until you can get them to the vet. Because watching them be in pain is no fun. It's awful. So don't let that be you. Be prepared. And these things were really, really handy for me. Oh, I forgot one thing. I also have this little, where is it? There it is. I have this little emergency kit. It's just like a first aid kit for people, but it has cotton swabs, and I did have some cotton balls in there, tweezers, little scissors, and this kind of stuff was handy. If you have a wound, you can use a cotton swab or a Q-tip and then the sterile saline water to clean the wound. I did use the tweezers at one point for something, I can't remember what, but having these things around, you never know. Again, just good to be prepared. I like to have something separate for my hamsters. After I use it, I soak it in rubbing alcohol to make sure it's clean, and then maybe also the dishwasher, but I still keep it separate from my own stuff just to, you never know. Probably good to have separate hamster emergency things from human things. I don't want to share my tweezers with them in particular, but yeah. All right, so let me show you what Laverne went through, and just before we get in, it might be a tough video to watch. It's a lot of medical stuff. There's times when Laverne doesn't look her best, but I will say now she's doing much better, and I'm so thankful for all the veterinary help that I had, and I'm thankful that I happened to have a lot of things that I had already purchased based on that other video that I watched. So just know that she's doing much better now, and you'll get to see that at the end. But everything turned out okay. But I did want to share this because if you have a hamster who's sick or ill, yeah, there's still a lot of work you need to do at home to take care of them, to monitor them, and I figured it would be helpful to share my experience taking care of Laverne, and hopefully it will maybe help some of you out there, or at least be kind of a learning, interesting thing to see. So, hope you like this video, and let's get to it. So this is little Laverne in early December 2021, and of course Laverne had already had several surgeries at this point. You can see her abscess is still pretty full of infected material. At this point we were trying to manage it by giving her azithromycin, which is like a Z-Pack, and she had had 2 previous surgeries, and we also cleaned the abscess area. She had a lot of discharge coming out of her ear. And we had an antibiotic cream that we would put in the area to try to prevent any outside infection from getting in. But it just wasn't getting better. She had a checkup with my vet sometime in December, and the vet said that the infection had now spread to her cheek pouch, which was pretty unfortunate. We started to notice that she would just put food on one side of her cheek and not on the side with the abscess, so it was clearly bothering her. Which is so cute. And, it felt like we needed to do something a little bit more intense to get rid of this infection. So the vet was like, all right, well, let's schedule a surgery. We can do it the week of Christmas. I believe it was like the 23rd or the 22nd of December. And I'll do my best to get as much infection out. This time we'll go a little deeper, because the previous 2 surgeries, maybe we hadn't gone quite as deep, so this time she was like, let's get rid of this and see if that will help her kind of get a leg up on recovery. So the one little tip I have to share, if you have a hamster who has a sickness or a wound or something that you need to deal with, and they might be a little difficult to handle, like little Laverne is pretty squirmy and she can be a little bit aggressive. Getting their favorite treat is key. Flax sprays were really helpful for us because she would spend a lot of time opening them, and she was so focused on it that she hardly noticed us cleaning out her wound. And of course we had to do this like twice a day. So it was a lot, and having her favorite treats on hand made a huge, huge difference. So if you're having trouble controlling your hamster while you give them medicine or whatever, definitely try to figure out what they love and keep that around because it really helps. All right, so here's Laverne post-surgery. It was about December 22nd or 23rd. I believe that was a Wednesday. You can see she's looking pretty out of it. Here's a picture of her. At first, it seems like, wow, this was definitely more intense than previous surgeries, but the recovery was much harder as well. So we had to feed her baby food, and as I discussed, it was really handy to have a lot of different foods on hand. She wouldn't get out of bed to eat herself, so sometimes putting it on her fingers, she would lick it off of our fingers. And of course we fed her the critical care and Pedialyte as well. But whatever she would eat, we would feed her, and it was just constant around the clock monitoring. Laverne actually lost a lot of weight during this period of probably like 1 or 2 weeks. She was about 55 grams and she got down to be about 40, so a huge weight change. I actually ended up sleeping on the couch next to her bin for several nights, and every 2 hours I would get up and make sure that she had a few licks of critical care and a little bit of water, just to make sure that she was getting something, because even putting the food right in front of her, she just like wasn't getting up on her own. I was really surprised at how hard this surgery hit her. Like I said, the vet, we knew that we were going to go in a little bit more invasively, but this was pretty intense, and definitely more intense than I thought it would be. And of course, here I am giving her some water. I tried a few things with water. I put it in a syringe. I also used the water bottle, and I tried Pedialyte just to try to keep her a little bit hydrated. Here she is eating the critical care liquid diet. So anything we could get in her, we accepted. Yeah, it was just tough, and I'm really glad that I was prepared with the critical care and the baby food and the Pedialyte and everything that I had. I think what surprised me the most about this surgery was how long it took for her to recover. So this video is now about a day after her surgery, so 24 hours, and she still was just totally lifeless, basically. She was just a little lump, and normally Laverne is extremely active. This was very out of character for her to sit in your hand like this. And I began to worry about it. I did call the vet, and I said, feels like she's not doing super well. She's hardly drinking or eating. They said to try to get her out a little bit, to try to encourage her appetite. And they agreed with my actions to try to feed and hydrate her every 2 hours. But yeah, it was really tough. I think that was really the hardest part, is the following 2 days. She just seemed so out of it. You could get her for a moment to kind of come back to life, and then as soon as you put her down, it was like right back to square one. And I really started to worry that I had made the wrong decision in doing this surgery, because the recovery was so tough, and I worried that she wasn't going to make it. And then, all of this was for what? I mean, I don't know that I had a choice, really, when you think about it. The abscess had spread into her cheek pouch, but I did feel badly that she was struggling so much, and mostly I just wanted her to be pain-free, and that's primarily my motivation for doing the surgery. And because otherwise she's just so full of life and active, it felt like she wasn't ready to go. So, I don't regret doing the surgery, but it was just like way tougher than I had thought. So this is Laverne back in her nest. This is about a day after surgery again. And you can see she just, like, as soon as you put her down, she just hardly moved. She could hardly keep her head up. I'm trying to offer her some nuts. She didn't accept them. And the thing I noticed too in this time period was how cold she felt. I know I mentioned in the intro that I used a heating pad as recommended by my vet. But one problem with Laverne is she would sleep very close to the surface in the bedding. She doesn't really like being held, but she sleeps very close to the surface. So the heating pad wasn't really doing much for her. I would constantly check the temperature of the bedding, and I didn't think it was doing anything for where she sleeps. So I decided to move the heating pad, and basically I got 2 heating pads and I put it up against the corners of where she slept. And I figured, if she got overheated, she could always move, but at least it was heating the area where she mostly slept. And I was really diligent about checking every time I fed or hydrated her. I would check the temperature of the bedding and make sure that it was just slightly warm, but definitely not hot. I just wanted to make sure that her body temp stayed within a good range. It was pretty noticeable when I would touch her. Normally she's just little fireball. Like you can feel how warm she is when you pet her or you hold her. And in this case, she just was like, it was very weird to feel her this way. So on day 3 after her surgery and a lot of worrying, it was now Christmas Eve and I knew that my vet was going to be closed for the weekend. And so I called and I said, can I just bring her back? Can you guys check and make sure she's doing okay? Because I was not feeling good about how she was looking. So they were so wonderful. They saw me last minute and they actually gave her an injection of fluids and some vitamins. And this is right after she got home from the vet. So you can see, like, I actually think you can tell a difference in how her eyes look. She looks so much more alert. The fluids and the vitamins I really think helped, probably in particular the fluids, because I really don't know how much hydration she was getting during this time. So this to me kind of helped get us over the edge. She looks so much better at this point. Again, this was Christmas Eve, and later that night she actually came out and was like totally normal again, or at least on the path to being totally normal. It was the first time she had come out on her own. Oh, how cute. The first time she came out on her own was right about midnight on Christmas Eve, so just about Christmas Day. She came out about 3.5 days after her surgery, and it was the first time she came out, drank water on her own, and ate on her own. So that was such a wonderful Christmas gift, and I was so happy to see her on her way back to being little Laverne, the Laverne I know and love. All right, so fast forward about 2 weeks or so, and here's little Laverne. She's in a new 200 quart bin cage setup. I'm actually now with my parents visiting for a little bit. So we drove right after Laverne started to feel better. Then we took off and relocated to my parents' house. And because of that, I now have a new vet looking after Laverne. So she went in for a check-in, and the vet said, all right, looks like she's healing well. Let me know how it goes after you give it a little bit of time. But yeah, Laverne started to gain weight back. She was spunky and energetic and her usual little self. So it's really great to see her back and at it. The only bummer was as soon as that abscess scar started to heal, the abscess started to fill up again with infection. And it was so frustrating because we got to about 1 month post-surgery, so about January 22nd, and at that time, suddenly the infection was back and really quite bad. I was worried Laverne was going to open the wound by scratching at it, so I brought her into my new vet by my parents' house, and my vet opened up the abscess just to release the pressure, and then she prescribed a new antibiotic for Laverne to try. You can see that cut there on Laverne here. That is on purpose to release the pressure to keep her from messing with it, and yeah, I definitely could tell a difference in Laverne's behavior after she had it opened. She was much more calm and seemed to be more content. The new antibiotic is called chloramphenicol. So chloramphenicol is a very old antibiotic. They've used it to treat things like the plague. Sometimes it's good for bacteria that are not always treatable by other types of antibiotics. So based on the culture that I had done on the abscess back in November or October, my vet was able to look at that information and say, okay, well, there's this one other antibiotic that could work. Let's give it a try. The problem with chloramphenicol is that it is toxic. It's carcinogenic, so you do have to be careful with it. You don't even want it to touch your skin. So when I handle it, I have to use gloves, and I have to be careful with handling Laverne. But so far, it's making a big difference. This is how I do it. I give Laverne a plate of all sorts of goodies. There's some scrambled egg there, some cucumber, some strawberry, broccoli, and of course I always give her the Benebac, and that is the probiotic gel. I discussed this in the beginning of the video. You can get this at PetCo, PetSmart, Amazon, Chewy, all the typical places. It's the same formula for dogs, cats, bunnies, everything. It's great to have around. Your vet probably will give you some if your hamster is on antibiotics, but if they don't, I think it's a good idea to go get some, because this helps keep your hamster from getting sick to their stomach when they're taking antibiotics. So I always make sure I give her that Benebac, and then I wear my really big kitchen gloves. I started out by wearing small rubber gloves, the little latex ones, but I found it was difficult to make sure that I didn't get any on my clothing either, so I just found that the large large rubber gloves were more effective. I have to keep this antibiotic in my refrigerator because it's mixed in a solution and it's flavored like chicken. Because I knew Laverne likes chicken, and I have to mix it up. So I give it a few shakes, and then I open it up, and it's very liquidy. So compared to some of the other antibiotics I've used, this one is extremely almost like water. So I have to be careful with it because it can splatter and it like easily gets on things. So I kind of like have this method of keeping it in that plastic bag inside a cup. And then I very carefully put it over little bits of her food here. So I mix up which foods I give her, and I mix up what it goes on, because at first she was okay with it, but now she's gotten kind of tired of the same chicken flavor of antibiotics. So I have to kind of be creative to get her to keep eating it. But so far it's been really effective. So totally worth it. Right now I'm very carefully rinsing the syringe, and I will be back with the clean syringe, and then I'm going to bring this up to Laverne. So this is little Laverne now. She's doing pretty well. I would say the chloramphenicol seems to have made a huge difference. This is the first time in probably 4 months that I haven't had to actively clean her ear and wound area every day because it's no longer letting out a discharge. So previous to this, her wound was constantly, I had to clean her ear area. It was always looking gunky and kind of gross. And no longer, her ears are clean. She still has the abscess, but it seems to have not gotten any larger. And it's now been about 3 or 4 weeks on this new medication. So about the same amount of time that she had the big surgery, and then, the full abscess had come back. In that amount of time, she's been good. So I'm really happy with the results of this new antibiotic, although it is annoying to deal with and, a little risky considering the danger of it. I feel like it's worth it to see her be happy and healthy. And Laverne at this point is probably 1.5 years at least, probably like 1 year and 7 or 8 months. She came to me, if you watch my other videos, fully grown from a hamster rescue, although she did look young when she came to me, so a little hard to say exactly, but I've had her over 1 year and she's still kicking even with everything that's happened. So I'm really happy that she's still with me, and I feel like she's being able to live a full, happy life. So I'm just like in awe of the fact that this has made such a big difference for her. I've also learned so much from this experience. First off, I learned how to take care of a very sick hamster. And I also learned the importance of getting a second opinion. I have loved both the vets that I've worked with so far on Laverne's abscess issue, but I think it's one of those things. She had a difficult to solve problem, and seeing another person is just going to give you a different perspective on that problem. When I was in LA, I actually did try to reach out to other vets just to see if I could get another opinion.
The problem with LA is it can be tricky to get a vet appointment. A lot of vets are no longer taking new patients, so I wasn't really able to easily see a different vet, but maybe it would have been worth me traveling outside of LA or somewhere nearby, but close enough that I could go for a day. This kind of happened by accident because I was traveling to see my family, and at the same time Laverne had this health issue. But in the end, it's like kind of for the best. I felt terrible for making her travel after the surgery, but I think in the end it maybe saved her life, because I don't know that she could have gone through another surgery like the one she had just been through. And I don't know if my other vet would have recommended this antibiotic. So, I think this is a great example. If you have a difficult to solve medical issue, maybe it's a good idea to see another vet, or to have two vets in your roster. If you live in an area like I do where it's very difficult to get an appointment, maybe it's a good idea to just like have a few vets that you are that consider you their patient, because sometimes just getting into a vet clinic can be difficult. So that is something I'm going to consider going forward. Is just having a few on hand in case an emergency comes up and I can't get an appointment, or I just want a second opinion. It's really made such a huge difference for her, and I'm really happy that it all worked out. So I hope today's video has been helpful to all of you out there. If you have a hamster with a medical issue, or you just like learning about hamster stuff, I like to share all this information because I think knowledge is power, and if you know how to recognize illness in your hamster, it helps you be able to deal with it appropriately. Of course, always seek out vet care, but I do think that if you can be an advocate for your hamster's health, it does help to have a strong understanding of what they're going through. And hopefully this is helpful to all of you out there trying to deal with your hamster's medical issues. Now that I have 4 hamsters who are about 1.5 years or a little over, and little things pop up here or there, you do get better at it. But gosh, there's just like a lot of little things that you have to start to pay attention to and deal with. And that's part of the journey, I guess. But it can be difficult, I will say, and knowing when to bring them to the vet, or when it's something to worry about or when not to worry about, I think can be difficult. So I do try to do this so I can share that knowledge and hopefully encourage people to seek care when they need it, and take action when necessary, and to help their hamsters live happy and healthy, fulfilling lives for both you and your hamster. So if you have any questions, I would love to answer them. Please leave me a comment below. And of course, if you want to shop a t-shirt to support LA area hamster rescues, the link will be in the description below. And if you have any other rescues to add to my rescue list, please, again, leave me a comment below and I will add it to the website. It is one of the pages I get a lot of hits on, so I would love to build that out because I want to help connect people with small animal rescues in their area so they can support them and volunteer with them and foster for them and do all the things that they really need so badly. So, well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Bye!